Welcome back to One-on-One Sports Webcast. I'm now joined by our MLB experts, Eric DiStefano and Connor Del Pree. The Yankees have made a push and are on the verge of making the playoffs. This is largely due to the contributions of Alex Rodriguez during the second half of the season, who's technically suspended. Connor, we'll start with you. Should the MLB have let Alex Rodriguez play this season, even though it won't be heard until the end of the season?
Absolutely not. Have you seen this guy in interviews? He won't look reporters in the eyes. He'll avoid questions. I think 99% of the world knows he's guilty. And it wouldn't have been as big of a problem if he's just sitting on the bench, maybe getting 2 or 3 at-bats. This guy's starting on the Yankees. He's hitting .283, 6 home runs, 14 RBIs, and his OBP is higher than his career average. He's helping the Yankees make a wild card spot.
I know he's been good, but so has Johnny Peralta and Nelson Cruz. They've helped their teams a bit earlier in the season, but they've still helped him. Look, he's going through an appeals process right now. The MLB joint drug agreement allows players to appeal their suspension. He's appealing it. What do they have to suspend him for? They don't know enough facts yet. There's no facts.
He's appealing the length of suspension. He's not appealing whether he's guilty or not. But he should be appealing whether he's guilty or not. If you're appealing the suspension, you admitted that you've done it. You just want a shorter suspension.
But that's allowed under MLB rules.
Well, you shouldn't be allowed to play.
It would be bad practice by MLB to suspend him without knowing a whole lot of information, which at this point, we really don't know a whole lot.
All right, guys, should the MLB, what should they do to make sure Alex Rodriguez has the proper punishment at the end of the season?
I think, the length of his suspension right now is too long.
Absolutely.
He should be suspended.
Yes.
But not for 211 games.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Ryan Braun got 65 games for a second-time offense. He lied, just like A-Rod has.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty much done the same sort of thing. Now, A-Rod, he might have tampered with the investigation. I agree that it should be a longer offense. MLB rules states that 100 games should be the suspension for a second-time user.
Exactly.
I think it should be a little longer, depending on what happens, as opposed, like if he tampered with the investigation or not.
Exactly, I agree. A-Rod, 211 games is way too much.
It's way too much.
The other 12 players involved in this biogenesis scandal got 50 games.
Right.
Ryan Braun, like you said, got 65. The record for longest suspension for a second-time offense was 100 games by Guillermo Mota, and A-Rod is double that. He's quadrupled the guys in biogenesis and double
You know why Johnny
Mota's.
Peralta took him? Because he wants to play in the NLCS or the ALCS in the World Series for the Tigers. Same thing with Nelson Cruz. That's the only reason why they took it when they did. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it. They would have tried to appeal.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think the suspension's a little bit too long. Over 200 games is a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if A-Rod is found guilty of using PEDs, should the death penalty be considered? And if it is, what should they do to make sure that players going forward don't get out of the suspension?
I think the death penalty should not be used on A-Rod. Yes, it's his second-time offense, but really 211 games is enough, and he's losing $35 million in his contract by not playing. And then if you think about the death penalty, it's only been used twice in history for the Black Sox scandal and for Pete Rose, both for betting on or against their teams in the World Series for the Black Sox and then for his own team for Pete Rose.
I think it should be used if 3 things happen. He used, and we know that he used, if he interfered with the Bosch investigation by buying medical reports, and if he also recruited other players to Tony Bosch. If those 3 things happen, I think he should be suspended for life. Now, I think that the death penalty should be imposed at this. This is the perfect time for MLB to stand up and say, if you use steroids from here on out, you should be suspended for life.
Yeah.
Because look at this. The poverty rates in the Dominican Republic are 31.6%. The poverty rates, or the 34.4% in the Dominican Republic, 31.6% poverty rates in Venezuela. These players, 50 games does nothing. It does nothing. There's no disincentive to not use steroids. They use it in Latin American countries and here to get an edge on their competition. 50 games literally does nothing.
I agree.
It needs to be a lifetime ban.
Like you said, 50 games is nothing. People want to do it again. They've done it again. That's why the guys like Mata and A-Rod and Braun are doing it, because they don't think the punishment is steep enough. And I think if maybe you involve the death penalty a little bit later, maybe it'll help eradicate the
Absolutely,
PED.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with you guys that they need to do something to make sure that the players really suffer rather than just going back right to it afterwards. That's it for this episode of One-on-One Sports Webcast. Remember to check out other webcast episodes at youtube.com/oneonOnesports. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And always remember, whose side are you on?